The old guitar. Daniel Harper had spent 20 years in New York City chasing success. He worked as a marketing executive, wore expensive suits, and sat in endless meetings. He had everything: an apartment in Manhattan, a luxury car, and a title that impressed people. But deep inside, something was missing. One cold evening, as he walked home from work, a soft glow from a small antique shop caught his eye. He wasn't the kind of person who wandered into random stores, but something about this place pulled him in. A bell jingled as he stepped inside. The shop smelled of old books and polished wood. Shelves were filled with clocks, paintings, and porcelain dolls. As Daniel looked around, his eyes landed on something in the corner, a weathered wooden guitar. Its strings were rusted, and the body had scratches, but it looked familiar. He picked it up, running his fingers over the surface. A deep, warm sound vibrated through his chest. A memory flashed in his mind: his father, sitting on their front porch in Tennessee, playing the guitar as the sun set. The same deep, soothing sound had once filled their home. Beautiful, isn't it? The shopkeeper, an elderly man with a kind smile, spoke softly. It belonged to a man who loved music more than anything. Daniel hesitated. He hadn't played in years. Life had been too busy. I used to play, he admitted, almost to himself. Then maybe it's time you start again, the old man said. That night, Daniel walked out of the shop with the guitar in his hands. The sound of home. At home, he sat on his couch and placed the guitar on his lap. He strummed lightly. The sound was rough, uneven. His fingers were stiff, untrained after years of neglect. He laughed at himself, but the next night he played again. And then the night after that. Each evening, after long hours at work, he picked up the guitar. The melodies returned slowly, like an old friend remembering their way home. As weeks passed, music filled his apartment. The songs he used to play as a teenager came back to him. The simple, heartfelt tunes his father had taught him. One evening, he played near his open window, lost in the rhythm. When he finished, a voice called from below. That was beautiful. Daniel looked down. A young woman stood on the sidewalk, holding a coffee cup, smiling up at him. Thanks, he said, surprised. I play too, she said. Or, at least, I used to. For a moment, Daniel hesitated. But then, he smiled. Would you like to play? She nodded. A few minutes later, she was sitting across from him in his living room, holding the guitar. Her fingers moved gracefully over the strings. Playing a tune that was soft yet full of emotion, Daniel closed his eyes and listened. He had spent years chasing things that never really mattered. But in that moment, he felt something real. Where did you learn to play? He asked. My dad, she said. He used to say music is a language of its own. Daniel felt a lump in his throat. Mine used to say the same thing. She smiled. Sounds like they would have been friends. They sat there, talking and playing music late into the night. For the first time in years, Daniel felt truly present, and as the old guitar rested beside him, he realized something. Life wasn't about titles, deadlines, or expensive things. It was about connection. About music. About moments like this, and it all started with an old guitar.